All right, welcome. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome, everybody. Happy Saturday. We have a lot to get into. Basically, we're going to evaluate the draft, the Eagles draft picks. We're going to evaluate some other teams' drafts, and also the Eagles went ahead and claimed running back Kerryon Johnson off of the waiver wire, so adding to an already loaded backfield with Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders, newly acquainted Kenneth Gainswell, who I'm really excited about. So we're going to definitely talk about him, and then also we're going to talk about cornerback options still that are still available for the Philadelphia Eagles, because as we know, they did go ahead and draft the cornerback in the draft, Zach McPherson, but was not the prototypical sort of outside corner we were looking for. However, there is this as well. I mean, there are a lot of analysts that absolutely love this pick. Daniel Jeremiah gave the Philadelphia Eagles an A- draft grade, and so we're definitely going to get into that, and I'm really excited about it. Big Play Slay, yo, what's up, my man? Happy Saturday, my man. Happy Saturday. Let's go ahead and start off with this. Zach Ertz is still on the mend, guys, and I don't know. I don't know when this guy is going to be traded. I don't know what the holdup seems to be that contract negotiations. Really, apparently there was a team in place, and this is the rumor. How rumor had it, there was a team in place that was willing to trade for Zach Ertz and give the Philadelphia Eagles what they wanted. But the contract cap hit came into play. Last thing I heard, I believe it was from Bleacher Report, that that specific team did reach out to Zach's agent, but they just were not willing to budge on the final year of his contract. But Big Play Slay, what do you think about this draft? I think my favorite thing, honestly, dude, is probably Kenneth Gainswell. Kenneth Gainswell and Devontae Smith. I have a few after really evaluating the draft and evaluating how this entire thing went. I believe that I'm okay with it. I was a little bit shell shocked in the sense of, the amount of defensive linemen, edge rushers, that we took in the later rounds. But I can tell you this: Patrick Johnson the second is someone I am excited about. Jacoby Stevens is another guy that I'm excited about. So those late round picks, I believe those guys are going to stick. I believe that they're going to stay. I think Patrick Johnson is going to show us something in camp. That is going to excite everybody. Big Play Slay says, I think he's going to be traded during the training camp. When a player gets injured, he can be the replacement for that specific player. Yeah, that makes sense to me. For an opposing team, if somebody loses a tight end, it would be perfect. It would be perfect for them to go out and grab Zach Ertz. It's just, what are they getting for him at that point? Jalen Hurts me. What's up, my friend? What's up, my man? Happy Saturday, my dude. Landon Dickerson. Yeah, no, another one. So Eagles, obviously, let's get to talking about their draft, guys. Devontae Smith, obviously trading up in front of the Giants with the Cowboys, to go ahead and grab Devontae Smith, was one of the guys that we all kind of wanted. A plus grade. I'm really excited about Devontae Smith. He can run all the routes. As I've said leading up to the draft, though, there is one thing that just still concerns me, and that is his size. That is his weight. But the other thing too, he's been doing it for so long. He's been making people look silly for so long. He broke records at Alabama. And, we're talking about the likes of Julio Jones, Calvin, all these guys, Jerry Jeudy, he played. I mean, he did absolutely phenomenal. Dak is king. Welcome, my man. Happy Saturday. Thanks for welcoming me back, my man. It's good to see you guys also as well. Cardinals apparently, Jalen Hurts me says, Cardinals apparently asked Ertz to renegotiate the contract, and they would have traded him for him, but he said no. Yeah, that's kind of what I was just talking about. There was a team. I wasn't sure if it was the Cardinals or who it was, but it makes sense. It makes sense for it to be the Cardinals. So I think that that's still a thing. I think it could still potentially happen. And Zach Ertz just needs to get off his high horse. You know what I mean? Zach Ertz it's starting to bug the hell out of me. He just needs to get off his high horse and be traded. King Grayson, hey, welcome, my man. You guys are back. You're back. yeah, we didn't go anywhere, but our work schedules have been completely crazy. I know Patrick J is working up a storm today, so but I have off on weekends, but my schedule has been nuts. My schedule has been absolutely nuts, but it's good to see you guys all here. So getting back to Devontae Smith, guys, I mean, I'm sure as we're all excited about it, he's going to be the best route runner that we've had on this team for quite a while. He's going to be the best complete receiver that we've had on this team for quite a while. And I'm already really excited the fact that Jalen Hurts already has plans to get in touch with the young playmakers. So that's absolutely phenomenal. It seems like him and Miles Sanders were working out together. So that's awesome as well. Big Play Slay says the Browns won this draft, in my opinion. Yeah, you know what? I think right off the bat, they got Greg Newsome and they got Jeremiah Onwu-Koramoah. Jock. They got Jock. So first pick and second pick were absolutely studs. Absolutely studs. Dak is King says, I really like Smith pick for you guys. Yeah, thanks, man. I think Micah Parsons is going to be a good one for the Cowboys, too. I think as soon as Sean Lee retired, I think it was a done deal and in the bag that Micah Parsons was going to be a pick. And so Jerry Jones really had no choice. I mean, gaining an extra third and only moving back 2 spots to get the guy that you're going to take anyways is good. Big Play Slay says it's not even that he has to be traded because he can play out his contract, but his contract is hefty and the Eagles are asking for way too much. I mean, he's still, guys, yeah, he can still ball though. He can still play. And we saw some healthy glimpses of Zach Ertz after he came back from his injury last season, and we saw some of that, but he can still play. He can still be a top 5, top 7 tight end in this league. And for me to name those tight ends right now, I just can't. At least I can name, there's Travis Kelce, there's George Kittle, Darren Waller, and Zach Ertz. And then after that, I mean, it's debatable. So, I mean, I think the Eagles are justified in what they're asking for. The thing is that the Cardinals didn't have a third rounder to give the Eagles. I think the Eagles definitely cheapened their asking price a little bit. They must have, if it was indeed fact the Cardinals. King Grayson says Kadarius Toney with Golladay is going to be nasty. I'm sure the Giants hope so. Obviously, Kadarius Toney was not their first pick. It was Devontae Smith. So I'm absolutely excited that the Giants are still crying about it. They're still livid. You know what I mean? They're still crying about it. Just like they were when the Eagles decided to sit their starters for the rest of the Week 17 game last season. It seemed like they're becoming a bunch of crybabies underneath Joe Judge, is what it seems like. Yeah, the Giants did. They had a really good draft. Cannot fault them for that. Jalen Hurts me says he can still play, and I agree, but Eagles are asking for way too much, and the contract is not worth it for a lot of teams. Well, that's why he needs to renegotiate and get off his high horse. And so, yeah, I mean, and I kind of just don't want him on the team, anymore because I know that he's probably not going to start. Let's say, God forbid, that Zach Ertz is still on the team week 1. I don't think he's going to start, and I could see him crying about it. King Grayson says, I really like what the Eagles did this draft. Some questionable picks like Dickerson, but great otherwise. Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah gave the Eagles an A-. I'll say this about the Dickerson pick. Look, Dickerson is an absolute stud when healthy. If you can get him healthy and if you can keep him healthy, working with the team trainers and things like that. And I know there is some questionable concerns regarding the Eagles training staff, but if we can get him healthy, he's going to be an 8 to 10 year starter, hands down. hands down. I mean, Adam Kaplan and Jeff Mosher were talking about this on Inside the Birds, and he is so that he is an 8 to 10 year starter guy. He is going to be a stalwart either at the left guard, right guard, or center position. And seeing as how Jason Kelsey is constantly contemplating retirement, we will need that guy. We will need that guy, and if he pans out, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be absolutely huge. Dacus King says, I really wanted Rondell Moore on our team. You guys have enough wide receivers. You got Amari Cooper, you got Michael Gallup, and you have CeeDee Lamb. You don't need any more wide receivers. I think the Cardinals hit it right on the head when they got Rondell Moore. Perfect. Jalen Hurtsme says Richard Sherman is on the verge of going back to the 49ers. We should sign Brian Poole. I agree. I absolutely agree. Look, there's still some cornerback options out there. There is Brian Poole. There is Richard Sherman. There are reports that he does have the possibility of returning to the 49ers. We'll just have to see how this one plays out. Another thing that I wanted to get into as well is obviously the Jets are trying to renegotiate the contract for safety Marcus May. I wouldn't rule out the Eagles in possibly trying to make a trade there if the Jets can't get anything done. But Landon Dickerson, guys, I'm actually really excited for it. I'm optimistic about it. I understand that everybody wanted Asante Samuel Jr. there, but the thing is, and me included, I wanted Asante Samuel Jr. there as well. And there were also a couple other players. There was Christian Barmore. Christian Barmore was there. You could have taken him. And so, but look, I mean, offensive line was definitely a need. We definitely need to get younger there. And if he's healthy, he's an upgrade over Isaac Samalu. He's and then he can just take over for Brandon Brooks, because Brandon Brooks might still be on the trade mend. So that's another thing to think about as well. Let's see. Big Play Slay says the Eagles can potentially have a couple day one starters if some guys get cut. Yeah, or traded. The thing is, I think they intend for Zach McPherson, cornerback Zach McPherson, to come in and compete for the outside role, opposite Darius Slay, which I'm not entirely excited about, but we will just have to see. I think Jacoby Stevens has a shot at that because we are so thin in the secondary, but I think that they're going to use him more in a linebacker, safety sort of role. So. King Grayson says, I agree with you, DB. I just think they passed on more of a sure picks like Tevin Jenkins and Creed Humphrey over him, but still good. I don't understand. Okay, so here's what I don't understand about this, Keen, and I'll say this. Creed Humphrey, up until late, the only reason why Creed Humphrey may have been rated over Landon Dickerson as we got closer to the draft was because Landon Dickerson's injuries. If he didn't have the injuries, he would have been gone like around pick 15. And he was he is arguably the best center in the draft. Creed Humphrey is another guy like Landon Dickerson where he can play along the inside. And I would have been completely happy with both. But I would have been completely happy with Creed Humphrey. But again, on my board, I didn't have Creed going where the Eagles were drafting. The Eagles obviously were drafting at pick 37. I had Creed Humphrey going later than that, and we weren't going to be in prime position to take him. So I mean, and that's kind of why the board. That's why my mock kind of fell out in the way that it did, where it's like, okay, let's get a wide receiver round 1, and then let's get the cornerback in round 2. And we had the position to be in that scenario. We had the position to be there for Asante Samuel Jr. But Creed Humphrey came and went. So we wouldn't have been able to do it unless they traded up. Yeah, Big Play Slay says the Eagles can potentially have 3 day 1 starters in Smith, Dickerson, and some of the players in the later rounds. I think that's exactly what their plan is. I think that they're going to see how Dickerson competes throughout mini camps, and then also and if he competes well and if he stays healthy, I really don't see how he doesn't take over the spot for Isaac Samalu. I just don't. And so all of a sudden, if they can get these guys, if you can get these guys right, I mean, that's another solid offensive line. That's another solid offensive line there. I mean, we have Halaputi Valley, or not Big V. We have Jordan Malata. I get those guys mixed up. We have Jordan Malata, who is on the verge of constantly progressing. And I feel like he's got a high ceiling. And then you have him at left tackle. And let's say you got Dickerson and Jason Kelsey and Brandon Brooks, and you get Elaine Johnson back. Again, like if these guys can get right, if these guys can stay right, it will be a good offensive line. My worry is still Lane Johnson's ankle. My worry is still Brandon Brooks's Achilles, and things of that nature. I'm not really worried about Jason Kelsey, but that right side of the line, I am definitely still worried about. So Jalen Hurtsby says, I'm optimistic we'll put a competitive team on the field this year. I don't expect to win the division, but at least give teams challenges. Here's the thing. I want to talk about this because it is possible that the Eagles can put together a really competitive team. And with that said, I'm talking about Kenneth Gainswell, baby. I'm talking about the Eagles just signed Kerryon Johnson mixed with Miles Sanders, Devontae Smith. You get Jalen Reagor going too. Man, I'm hoping that Nick Sirianni does find a way to get these guys all involved because Kerryon Johnson brings you something. Kenneth Gainswell is probably going to be the best route runner, one of the best route runners on the team. He is that. And out of the backfield, and then he can also carry, his season at Memphis before he opted out this past season. He should have been a late first round or early second round pick. But because he opted out, that's what dropped him down. And he is probably my favorite pick of this draft. So he's the one guy that I wanted the Eagles to get in the mid rounds, and we got him. Just like Big Play Slay and I both agree on that. If he explodes, the question, and I saw this in some of the blogs earlier today, if Kenneth Gainswell explodes, what do you do with Miles? Well, you don't have to do anything with Miles. Miles is still on a rookie contract. Miles is still the guy. Kenneth Gainswell is going to be like the Tevin Coleman, and that's exactly what we need in this offense. Is we need to do more 21 personnel, 2 backs out of the backfield, running out in the flats, and you never know where we're gonna hit you. You know what I mean? Things like having Miles Sanders run out in the flat and then Kenneth Gainswell come up, boom, boom, right above the line of scrimmage on a quick dig. That'd be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And guys, guess what? Let's go ahead and welcome Patrick J to the stream. Happy Saturday, my dude. How you doing?
Happy Saturday, my dudes. Sorry, man. I don't know how much I can input, but I'm here.
That's all right.
Work's been crazy, guys. I'm sorry.
That's all right, my man. That's all right. We're just talking about the Eagles draft right now. We just touched on Landon Dickerson, who obviously I talked to you about. I think it's a great pick as long as they can get him healthy. And then also right now we're kind of on the mend of talking about Kenneth Gainswell, who I think is absolutely a phenomenal pick. But let me go ahead and hit this comment here. Big Play Slay, why didn't the Eagles decide to draft DB and LB much higher? Evidently it could have helped them better than taking an offensive lineman that'll most likely not start till next year. It's a great question. It is a great question, and I think that's the question that's like convoluting everybody's minds. Again, I think the Landon Dickerson pick has the potential to be a home run pick. That's the thing. It has the potential to be a home run pick. And according to Howie, guys, I mean, they said that they followed their board. You know what I mean? And so that's the best that we can do. My one thing is obviously the third rounder. Is obviously the third rounder. What's his name? Um, who do we take? Why can't I remember his name, Patrick? We took the defensive end.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
I'm trying. We took the defensive tackle. Um,
Oh, you got Milton Williams from Louisiana Tech.
yeah. So that is my one. That's my one question. That was the thing that shocked me. I didn't have enough. Again, maybe it's a little bit of like I don't know enough about this guy. Because again, I didn't do a lot of in-depth looks at the defensive line, but they definitely should have gone a cornerback in the third round, and I'm sure that there were plenty of options because only two, I believe, right, Patrick, went in the second round, one to the Cowboys, and then only two cornerbacks went in the second round. That and
Correct.
Asante Samuel Jr.
Correct.
Asante Samuel Jr. and Joseph that the Cowboys took. So there were plenty of options that the Eagles could have taken with their third round pick. Like Aaron Robinson, for example. But they traded back. I think this is like that is the thing is like it is that's because that's the video that went viral with Tom Donahue or Phil Donahue or whatever the fuck his name is, and it's one of the Donahues, and like they didn't like it's clear like he wanted Aaron Robinson, but then they gave some sort of shindig as to like no, I wanted this guy and how he took that guy. So, but like they played it off as like they were going to take a defensive lineman there regardless. But like, you could have taken Aaron Robinson and he would have competed for a start opposite Slay like from day one. And they just didn't. They just didn't. But they got Zach McPherson and Daniel Jeremiah gave the Eagles an A- grade on their draft. Patrick, what do you think about that?
The Eagles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what they did. Top to bottom, I think they really did well with their value. I think ultimately they landed what they needed. You know, it was down to either getting a two top cornerbacks or one of the top three receivers, in which they did. Jumping over the Giants to make sure they got their guy, Devontae Smith. I think that's a really good pick for him. I think he's in a prime position to be like a guy like Justin Jefferson of this draft. You know, he was a third receiver taken in the draft, but I think pairing him with Jalen Reagor is going to really help him with his development too. And I'm excited to see what they are able to do in that system. When it comes to second round, yeah, I mean, I seen those comments like, you know, there could have been a better offensive lineman over Dickerson. I mean, like the fact of the matter is Dickerson would have been rated higher than these guys regardless if he was healthy. I think the question comes down to his health at the end of the day. I understand.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just got done talking about
Yeah,
too. Is like
yeah,
you have to remember this guy would have gone somewhere
right.
in the field of like Elijah Vera Tucker as far as draft
Right,
positioning.
right. Yeah. So, I mean, he would have been ranked higher. So, I mean, you have to think about that. Like, if I understand this is one of those picks that you're going to look back in about 3 or 4 years and say the Eagles were the smartest team in the world, or you're gonna say I told you so. He wasn't healthy, but at the end of the day, if you are able to get him right, he's going to be better than those other guys. And I understand people saying that there were more values to be had, but ultimately, if the Eagles can get Dickerson right, then he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler on the offensive line. So I don't fault him for that pick. I think that was a good pick too. There were some picks I really liked for him. I personally liked Milton Williams' pick. I did like Marlon Tuipulotu pick. I think he's going to be a great defensive tackle coming out. And I did like Patrick Johnson pick too.
I
Only
love
question
that.
mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only question mark for me is a Zeke McPherson pick. For me, that was. I mean, I hate to use this word, but I think that was a reach. I think there were other cornerbacks that could have been had, but he does have a lot of talent on the board. If I have to nitpick this draft, and I know you guys are really high on Kenneth Gainswell too. I think he's going to fit really well in Sirianni's system. He's going to be very similar to what Naheem Hines was able to do in the Colts system. He can come out in the, you can use him in the passing games. I don't if you guys recall last year, Hines was able to come in and step in when Jonathan Taylor was out, and be really using the slot receiver role or coming off the backfield and being able to catch too. So I think Gaineswell fits really well in that system, and I think Sirianni actually told the Athletic that that was a really good comparison too. So I think Miles Sanders is going to get more touches than anybody, but I think Gaineswell is going to be very important in the passing game.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing that I kind of touched on too. Is like he's going to come in and this is safe to say because the Eagles really don't have anything at wide receiver other than Jalen Reagor's emergence and then Devontae Smith, and Greg Ward is good. He's a good route runner. He can get open. I mean, his story is absolutely phenomenal. But Kenneth Gainwell is going to come in and possibly be one of the better route runners on this team, and to have that coming out of the backfield is absolutely phenomenal. And I can't stress this enough, but what he did at Memphis in 2019, it would have elevated him to the second round, probably if he did not opt out. I mean, that according to Daniel Jeremiah and Adam Kaplan and Jeff Mosher on Inside the Birds, like that's kind of the consensus, and then it's hard not to see it or forecast it that way. But Dak is King says, and this brings up another thing that I want to talk about with you, Patrick, is because I think it's a phenomenal move. Dak is King says, like, there is a reason why Kerryon got released. He hasn't performed well, but if they get him right, he'll be great. I don't really have a lot of doubts as to what Kerryon can do. I think Kerryon, Detroit's not very explosive offensively, and so for that, like it gives me reason to think that he may have not just was in the right system right away. But they got him going in those first 2 years, but this past year he seemed to trail off a little bit. Patrick, do you want to touch on? I think it's a phenomenal move for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it adds to a great running back room. I think now it comes down to because he is stronger than the other guys, so I think he'll be competing with Jordan Howard. But I think it comes down to Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell. He's going to make the team. Boston Scott, I think, is the odd man. I think Boston Scott and Jordan Howard are the odd men out, and Kerryon Johnson has a legit shot at making this team.
Yeah, I don't see. Here's the thing: Sanders is going to be a feature back. Gaineswell is going to be that project back that can really come off as a receiving back. So those two are going to make the team. I think getting Kerryon Johnson off the waivers. It's a no. I think it's a no doubter in my opinion, just because of his talent and his. He was a second round pick out of Auburn just in 2018, and he showed a lot of talent before too. So, and it's like. You didn't pay a lot for him. You're going to bring him in. You're going to be able to have him compete for this spot. And I totally agree with you. It's going to come down to him, Howard, or Scott being that second back, because you're going to use Gaineswell more of as a receiving back more so than anything. So, Johnson did become expandable because if you think about it, the Lions did draft DeAndre Swift and he did perform really well. They did sign Jamal Williams off in March, and then they did just draft Jamar Jefferson as well. He did perform. Yeah, he did perform well. So he did perform well. In a couple of years ago in his first season, he did rush for 640 yards or so just in 10 games due to a knee injury. But he did show some flashes of what he did in Auburn. And so I think it's a great signing for the Eagles. And it's like one of those no-risk move. If he comes into camp and he doesn't show the potentials, you still got Jordan Howard and Boston Scott. You're probably going to keep three, maybe four and dress three. So there's no point of keeping all five. But it just creates a good competition in that room. All of a sudden it went from a position of weakness to a position of something that you can get a lot out of. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing: is they could and just have Boston Scott go back to what he was doing when he was kind of first with us, which was punt returns pretty much, kick returns and punt returns. But Nikki Cunningham, welcome to the channel. Haven't seen you in here before. Please like and subscribe. Nikki Patrick says Kerryon is here to take Howard's job, which is short yardage and blocking. Johnson's one of the premier blocking backs in the league. Yeah, no, agreed. He's absolutely phenomenal in pass protection. And that's definitely something that we need. It's definitely a weakness of Miles. Miles needs to get better at that, and he's still working on that, which is good, I guess. But to to bring in somebody who's already pretty much established with the pass blocking as a running back is a phenomenal thing. And it just so happens that Kerryon's got some moves. He's got some moves too, so that's good. And I agree. He's a bit stronger, like I said. So I think it's Jordan Howard who's going to be getting the heat of that competition more than anyone. So Big Play Slay says Kerryon played for the Lions for starters. He didn't adapt to things because that wasn't the right system for him, and injuries have also derailed his career while losing confidence while this happened. Yeah, and I agreed. That's kind of what we were talking about. And then it just kind of there's a little bit of numbers game there too, right, Patrick? Don't you think? I mean, DeAndre Swift and them bringing in Jamal Williams, it kind of allowed him to be expendable and not
right. Yeah, it's just like any other moves. There's cause and effect of it, and then he quickly became expendable with the offseason move they made. So yeah, it's a good pickup for the Eagles for sure. So
yeah. So but now that you're on air, we did touch on Zach Ertz a little bit, and Cardinals were the team that did call and they wanted to try. They tried to renegotiate his contract with his agent, and it just didn't work. Out.
Okay.
How do you feel about this? Because I know you definitely want him on your team, bro.
Sorry, I'm typing an email right now. I didn't hear that, but I mean, Zach Ertz. I mean, I think
he's being a baby. He's being a giant baby. It's like
I'm just being honest. I mean, he's still got talent
with a baby.
Yeah, he's still Zach Ertz in my opinion. He's only 30. He's still Zach Ertz that made him Pro Bowler for 3 seasons in a row. I think he's still got he's only 2 seasons removed from he's actually really productive season 2. So I think he's going to be able to come in and really help the team like the Cardinals out. Because I mean, if you look at the Cardinals offense alone, I mean, they're set, man. They got, I mean, with Kyler Murray entering year 3, they got Chase Edmonds and James Conner in the backfield. They got
I know.
Yeah, they got Hop, AJ Green, Rondale Moore in the slot now. I mean, Christian Kirk. I mean, what are they missing? It's that receiving tight end.
Dak is King just said that he wanted Rondale Moore. I was like, you guys are fine. What the fuck are you talking about?
Cowboys are the last team that needs a receiver, dude. So yeah. So I think Zach Ertz would have been a good pick. I think I did hear that too, as far as the Cardinals wanted to get Zach Ertz, and that makes sense that they needed him to work out his deal a little bit because I mean, the Cardinals do have enough room, and they are going to cut Devon Kennard and do something with Jordan Hicks, especially with Zaven Collins coming in. So I mean, Zach Ertz naturally looks like a good fit for him. His wife actually is from Mesa, Arizona. And then I'm sure she would love to come back home and everything like that, where her family is. I mean, I know this because she's a soccer player, and then another Cardinal, JJ Watt, his wife is a soccer player, and then there's a lot of interaction between them two on the Twitter, so that's how I know. But so you would think it's a naturally good fit. So I would think it's a naturally good fit for him. But I mean, it's interesting that Zach Ertz has to know and understand at this point that he's only hurting his trade value at this point. It's regardless of what the Eagles want, Zach Ertz has to also come down at the same time.
I think here's what I think. I think the Eagles did cheapen their asking price a little bit, because obviously if it were the Cardinals, they didn't have a 3rd round pick. So right. They wouldn't have gotten a 3rd round pick. So the Eagles definitely did, just based off of that logic alone, the Eagles definitely had to have cheapened their asking price. But Nikki goes ahead and says, I think the Eagles are looking to run some 2-back design runs, like when Howard blocked for Miles on that long TD run against the Bills. Gainwell and Sanders are both home run guys. I completely agree. And what a perfect reference, because it was really cool to come in and see Howard block for Howard block for Sanders. And it worked. And I agree with you. I think Nikki, Nick Sirianni wants to do a lot of 21 personnel, which is the 2 backs out of the backfield sort of deal. And he definitely wants to do more two-back scheming concepts. So that's one of the things I'm really excited about. Kenneth Gainwell was the guy that I kind of wanted in this draft. Usually every year there's a guy that I point to and say, man, I hope that we get that guy. Like, you can take this pick and this pick away, but as long as you get this guy, and he was that guy for me. Miles Sanders was that guy for me. a couple of years ago, and so I'm really excited. I'm really excited about it. I think dressing. I honestly think Boston Scott's the odd man out. Patrick. I think it's going to be Howard. I think it's going to be Sanders. I think it's going to be Kenneth Gainwell, and I think it's going to be Kerryon Johnson. So I'm really excited about the backfield. It's not a worry whatsoever. But you mentioned something that I kind of want to touch on, Patrick, and that is another fellow Patrick. Toxic Falcons, welcome to the chat today, man. Happy Saturday. Patrick Johnson the second. I absolutely really do like the pick. One, its value, and I think he is a phenomenal player. Talk a little bit. I talk a little bit about it. I know that he kind of has the record for his sacks at the college where he went to. Where did he go? Where's he out of again?
Tulane. He went to Tulane.
Tulane. Yeah, he got 24 and a half sacks, and I'm really excited about it. I think he's going to be a good edge rusher for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's one of those guys that I think that will come in and contribute. But tell me what you like about Patrick Johnson. That goes for all of you too in the chat. How do you feel about Patrick Johnson coming to the Philadelphia Eagles in the 7th round? Patrick.
Yeah, that's a really solid value pick. He's a shorter guy. He's a 6'2", 240 pounds, but I mean he had a pretty illustrious career over in Tulane. He's a very violent guy when it comes to a football field. He can make a sound, on the football field with his tackling. He's very quick laterally. He has ability to make guys miss. So when it comes to the linemen, he can get in their face and kind of switch away really quick too. He really has a real upside as a speed rusher that kind of comes with the territory with his hands and his quickness. He has one of the best get-offs in the draft class too. So I think there's a real value for them to get him at 7. I think that if you have to put in a reason why he dropped all the way down there is probably because of his size, and he is weaker at the point of attack because of that size. At his size, being a 3-4 outside linebacker may be his only option for consistent playing time. So I mean that limits him as far as like your flexibility is concerned, what the NFL teams really look for nowadays. But I think, like I said, with everything added on, he's been a 3-time All ASC pass rusher. He's shown that he can play at a high level. He's going to be a really good edge. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Vic Beasley. He can be flashy with his talents. He's with his size, he does have a lot of strength. Like I said, the size is something that you can't teach, but he might be able to play Sam linebacker in defenses that value 3 linebacker sets, which is kind of like what, like the Eagles would like to run from everything that I've read. So I think he fits in the system really well. I don't think he's expected to come in and play right away as a starter, but he can come in rotational packages, which will really help. He's got a good variety with his hand usage. He's very quick when it comes to run defender. He can execute zone coverage really well. Even with his modest length, I think he's got full functionality when it comes to developing into a starter in the right scheme. So as long as the Eagles are able to run that 3-4, he's going to be a really good hybrid front linebacker as a slam linebacker too. So
I think that's a good question that you just brought up. If they're going to have 3-4 concepts, and they might. I mean, it's not out of the ordinary. I haven't heard that, but I do agree with you. Like he is one of those guys that will be able to put his hand in the dirt, and then also he could play Sam linebacker as well. One of the guys that I kind of want to liken him to, but I'm only going to do this because it's Eagles history. Is Chris Gokon. Chris Gokon was kind of that guy who did stand up for us a little bit, and then also did come off the edge a little bit as well. I think Patrick Johnson has a lot more upside. The only reason why I'm likening him to Chris Gokon, again, guys, don't jump on me, is because he's a former Eagles linebacker. But you also brought up another interesting point, Patrick, is about the defense. From what I hear, the Mike Zimmer does have some cover 4, you know what I mean, in his arsenal that he likes to run. And obviously I'm not talking about Patrick Johnson anymore, but I'm talking about Zach McPherson, who has shown, and this is according to Adam Kaplan and Jeff Mosher on Inside the Birds, he had shown some ability to play that really, really well in college. So I think that, it's interesting because if they have that if they have that intention for him, then it might work. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because I just don't see how he can be the outside guy that you go to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about McPherson now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean Zeke McPherson is slightly undersized cornerback. So I mean he did show a lot of cover skills in the past 2 seasons. I mean he's instinctive, he's tough, he plays heads up football. So I mean he's got everything that you want in a cornerback. Like I say, he reads the receiver's eyes really well. He can. He can battle opponents. He can give effort, like defending the run. So it's not like an effort that you lack from him. But yeah, it's hard to put him outside just because a couple things that you mentioned already, like lack of height is a hindrance against tall receivers. That's setting outside in the NFL level, and he's also not a stout tackler. That's a concern too when you put a smaller guy on the outside with a taller receivers, bigger receivers like DK Metcalf. If you're going against some guys like that, you have to be a good tackler. I mean, that's what. Like guys like Buda Baker is able to do in the NFC West. He goes, I mean, despite some stuff, he can go up against guys like DK Metcalf because he is a great tackler. So if you are an undersized guy, you have to be able to be a stout tackler, but he's not. So that's the only concern. So, but I think he'll be able to be a good slot guy in the nickel or dime packages. He possesses, like I said, good instincts, good speed, good ball skills. He can play at the next level too, but the height's going to be a limiting factor. So I think ultimately he's more of a dime or nickel back in either zone or man coverage. But he also does offer a lot of special team possibilities too. So that's one thing to keep in mind too. But yeah, he's a solid guy too. Solid guy to have on your team as a multi-different facet guy. But
yeah, I think there's a lot of upside. It's a lot of untapped question marks though. Is basically it. Nikki brought up an awesome topic too. Is that we won't have to carry 7 wide receivers because Gaineswell is a wide receiver running back, and yeah. I mean that does give them that flexibility. I think. I definitely do, especially if they're going to use him like they use Nyheim Hines. They'll have some slot packages for Kenneth Gaineswell as well. So that's going to be really exciting. I'm really excited about that. Let's see here. This is funny. Nikki Cunningham says, Dak is king. Are you concerned with Dak coming back? Patrick, we're going to tap into this conversation real quick. Hold on. Dak is king says, not at all. I believe in Dak, and I think he already has great consistency with his offensive weapons, so I think he'll be great. And then Nikki says, Dak is king. See, that's how we know your fan base is delusional. Any fan base in reality would be concerned about their QB after a season-ending injury. It's true. But I do. I here's the thing, Nikki. I'm gonna say this in defense of Dak, because he is a good fella to have in here. I think the Cowboys are definitely better off with Dak back. I think that I think obviously they should address that situation with caution. But I think the Cowboys probably are just going to play better than they did last season, just from the fact that knowing that Dak is back, whether he's going to be completely back all the way or not. I think them just having his persona back in the locker room is going to do wonders for them. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, I mean Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. He's going to be able to come back and really be. I mean, as long as anytime you have an injury, of course that's a concern. I mean, like we're talking about the same thing. Like Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow. I mean, a lot of these guys have had injury concerns. Anytime you come back from that, it's going to be an issue. So I mean, I don't agree necessarily that he's delusional. I think he. I think Dak Prescott does have that continuity with his team. Not a lot of the offensive weapons have changed.
Yeah, that's just Eagles fan hatred.
Yeah. I think he's able to come in. He has a continuity, so I don't think he's going to be able to miss any beats. He did have a lot of time off with his injury being fairly early on. So I think he'll be able to come back and play. Obviously, they'll be a little bit more cautious. And anytime you get injured like that, it's always hard to come back 100%. But as long as he's able to come back, I mean, Dak Prescott is a great quarterback. We all know that. whether you're Eagles fan, Cowboys fan, like neither, Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. So as long as he can come back, he'll make the team that much better.
Hold on a second. Dak, don't go. Dak, do not go. Come on, man. Nikki's just playing, and I'm just playing too. We love having you in here, bro. I know that a lot of places call each other name, but I come here to have a cordial conversation. No need to call me delusional for supporting my team. I'm out of here today. Oh, all right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. It's all love. It's all love, though, bro. It's all love. We can have a cordial conversation. I really don't want you to go. It's gonna hurt my feelings if you go. All right. Yeah, another let me get back to the Eagles draft a little bit. I also want to talk about Jacoby Stevens, Patrick. It seems like they're gonna try and use him more of a Deion Buchanan role, kind of like you were forecasting. Because they have him listed at linebacker. He can play safety. He can play linebacker. I'm really excited for him. I think that he is one of those guys that will compete for a spot day one because of the lack of talent that we have in the secondary. And he's an LSU guy. And so he's gone up against some of the best wide receivers that have transitioned into the NFL. So he's seen some pretty good. He's seen some pretty good pass catchers in front of him. What do you think about Jacoby Stevens, sir?
Yeah, he's actually one of the picks I really like when we talked about it last, when the draft was happening. Anytime you get a guy out of, like a big program like LSU, that, they're pro ready when they come in. There's a couple programs out in the college that I'm always confident that the players are going to come in at least mentally and physically prepared to play in a pro style offense or defense. So Jacoby Stevens is one of those guys. I mean, I really liked him coming out of LSU. Like I totally agree with you what you said, and when we talked about Deion Buchanan kind of type, when you play for the Cardinals and later on with the Buccaneers too, I believe. But he's large. He's a tough safety who makes, best plays in the box or up the field. He's more instinctive guy. He can play heads-up football. He sells out to make good plays. He works well with the cornerbacks and to bracket receivers over the middle. So he's a very transitional, very versatile, like safety linebacker hybrid, which is really important in today's NFL game, which values high, versatility. So he does have, he can have issues covering because he's not very good pedaling in reverse, and he's not very quick to flipping his hips. When you look at his tapes, he does lose his men in transition, so he can only play in one speed more so than anything. But he does offset that with his smart, he's more heads up guy. He can kind of read the plays really well. He can flourish in a system that can keep him between, those numbers and primarily having him play downhill more than anything. So
I think that they're going to use him more as like a blitzer.
Right. Exactly. So he can really do both. He can, at 6'1", at 212 pounds, he does have a great size to be in a safety position. He's also really dense, and he has a really good solid above average arm length too. So he can play a multitude of different, positions that the Eagles would want him to do. I mean, as a run defender.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you and I were talking about going into the draft is like, I think the best thing for the Eagles when it comes to the defense as far as prospects in this draft are concerned is look at guys who can play multiple roles because they need playmakers across the chessboard. And while it came later than I would have liked it to, but he is definitely one of those guys, you know what I mean? And so and it helps me a little bit. Honestly, this is me theorizing, but it helps me to know that he also played alongside Jabril Cox. And we know that Jabril Cox is probably one of the better pass coverage linebackers in the draft this year, and if not the best, as he was at the Senior Bowl. But
I honestly think this is one of my favorite picks. I mean, like besides Devontae Smith and Gaineswell picks, I think Stevens' pick is actually my favorite out of even over Patrick Johnson. pick for you guys, just because I had when I was looking into Jacoby Stevens and when I was writing notes, I thought Eagles would actually be a really solid fit for him, because to maximize someone like Jacoby Stevens' specific skill set, his profile is his versatility, which means that he needs some schematic freedom, because he is that solid, strong safety linebacker hybrid. So that having that flexibility to rush the edge on blitzing down or stay up front as an extra run support. If you're strictly looking at system, I mean, Eagles can definitely provide that. He might not have the versatility to a high degree in the NFL, but he can still line up as a linebacker in the slot and up the box. And then I think he'll fit, schematically speaking. I think he fits the Eagles defense more so than the other guys that you guys drafted.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I'm definitely excited for this defensive scheme that we're going to be implementing. The other thing I want to talk about too is, I mean, just to break away from it too. I mean, actually, just to finish this up. Is, we did hit on a late round LSU secondary player before, and as much as we probably didn't like him, towards the end, and you can blame Jim Schwartz for that. I certainly do. That is Jalen Mills. So it worked. I mean, Jalen Mills was the starting cornerback for the Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. Real quick, let's get to Nikki. Nikki, I love this draft. Makes sense for a 2-year plan. Year 1, throw picks at the D line. Next year, throw picks at the defensive backs group. Exactly. And that's another thing that I was going to bring up too, Patrick. Is, I mean, they have potential 3 first-round picks next year. As we know, they can let the secondary, do what it does this year, and then go out and grab a go out and grab a corner. Actually, go out and grab a corner. I actually already had the picks kind of projected already, which positions it would be perfect for the Eagles to go: cornerback, defensive line, and then offensive lineman. So, in my or not defensive line, but some other position. I can't tell you which position yet, but I feel like the third position is definitely open for grabs. Jalen Hurtsme says, DB, I've asked for winners and losers so many times today. Look, it's Patrick, I'm going to let you take this one because I like to wait until they pan out. Browns are definitely one of them. I feel like Washington football team is definitely another one. I love that their Diami Brown pick. I think the Pats killed it. The Pats killed it in terms of value is concerned. I think Mac Jones was a perfect fit for them. And then they also got Christian Barmore, if I'm not mistaken, correct? The second round. Patrick?
Yes.
Is that a yes, they did?
Sorry, I was not listening to your question.
Oh, I was talking about Patriots are also another one that killed it as far as value is concerned. They got Mac Jones and they got Christian Barmore, I believe they're the ones who got Christian Barmore.
They did. Yeah.
What
was the question that you're answering? Sorry.
Jalen Hurtsme definitely desperately wants winners and losers. You know what I mean?
Winners and losers, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, and sorry, man, sorry if I missed it previously. I am a bit rusty, so I am trying to get back in the groove of things. So sorry about that. I think the Eagles are a sleeping winner. Losers. I mean, I think the Cowboys are the losers, honestly. I like it didn't make sense. Like I don't, other than Micah Parsons, like I don't. I mean, Joseph, yeah, he was good. I feel like there were other better cornerbacks on the board, that they could have gone with. I mean, how do you feel?
I mean, I like to. I mean, winners and losers is something that you want to take with a grain of salt at this point, just because you don't know how these draft picks are going to turn out. Even guys that are sure thing like Trevor Lawrence might turn out to be a a buzz. So, who knows? I mean, there's always a diamond in the rough too. But strictly speaking, I mean, if you want to, if I'm going like my top 5, bottom 5, I mean, I think Chicago Bears made out really well. I mean, just being able to get Justin Fields, their quarterback of the future, at 11, I think that was a great pick. Getting Tevin Jenkins at round 2, Larry Borum at round 5, and getting guys like Khalil Herbert, Thomas Graham Jr. in round 6. I think those are really good additions for them. Chargers did a really good job too. They got Rashawn Slater in the first round, Asante Samuel in the second round. That was a solid pick. They got some value pick too, like Josh Palmer in the third round. They got Trey McKitty the tight end out of Georgia in round 3 too. They got guys like Nick Niemann, a linebacker out of Iowa, Mark Webb in the 7th round. I think those are solid picks. New York Jets. Zach Wilson, Elijah Vera Tucker, those are solid tandem you can have going forward. Giving them a weapon like Elijah Moore in the 2nd round and Michael Carter in the 4th round, I think those are really good picks. I think they did have some questionable picks for the later rounds.
The Jets, just following it, just following it along while the draft was going on. I think that they were probably my favorite to watch because I feel like they did hit on those first, those early round selections like Zach Wilson, like Elijah Vera Tucker, like Michael Carter, and like Elijah Moore.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Big Play Slay mentioned it too. I really like what the Browns did. Greg Newsome, JOK, those are solid addition to a already good defense they got. They did hit out some later round guys like James Hudson, Tony Fields the second, and then like my 5th team, if I have to pick one, I think it comes down to the Eagles. I think Eagles did a really good job. You guys already heard what I said, but I think adding a guy like Devontae Smith is going to be a game changer. I think that's going to really help with Jalen Reagor's development too. Adding a Gaineswell kind of type to Nick Sirianni's offense, who can play that, who can play like Naheem Hines' type role that he had in the Colts is going to be really helpful too. You already talked about Jacoby Stevens and Patrick Johnson a little bit too, but I really like Marlon Tuipulu too, defensive tackle out of USC. I think he's got a great talent. I think even Milton Williams is going to be a great pick too. I think Landon Dickerson ultimately comes down to his health, but at the end of the day, if he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be that perennial Pro Bowl type of guy, whether it's center or the interior lineman. And I have to throw in the Dolphins too: Jalen Waddle, Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland. I mean, you can't fault them for those picks. That was solid draft for them.
That's right.
Losers, if I have to pick, Saints comes to mind. Peyton Turner was a little reach at number 28. Pete Warner was a decent pick in the round 2, but I don't think they really did a whole lot. I mean, they do need a QB too, but I think they went and got Ian Book out of Notre Dame in round 4. I think that was a little rough pick for them. Rams also, they didn't have a 1st round pick. They did get Tutu Atwell. I do like him out of Louisville, but
I do too. I think it was a little high.
Yeah, but rest of their picks, I think was a little rough, when it comes to their selections. I hate to say this about the Raiders, and I hate using the word reach, but I mean, Alex Leatherwood.
It sucked.
Yeah, they could have done better. They left like guys like Darisaw, Jenkins all on board. Trevon Morg was a good pick for them in the 2nd round, but
that's it.
Guys like Malcolm Coons, Divine Diablo, Tyrese Gillespie. I mean, those are all.
That's my biggest loser probably of the weekend is probably the Raiders.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. Also, loser by default is Houston Texans because they used so much of these picks to get like Laramie Tunsil, so they didn't have any picks basically. They didn't have a round 1 or round 2 picks. So round 3, they got Davis Mills, Nico Collins. I mean, just by virtue, they just didn't have enough picks to get any guys. So I think that was rough. And then, and then another team, Seattle Seahawks, they only had 3 picks. Had 3 picks. And I do like Dwayne Eskridge. I do like Trey Brown, but I don't know if I would have picked a receiver position. I don't think that was their position of needs. They do have a solid receiving core already. I mean, I think he'll be a decent pick with his speed with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, but I think they could have done better. So, I mean, if I had to pick those guys, I mean, that'll be my winners and losers.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I don't remember where it was, but the Eagles somewhere were ranked as having the fifth or fourth. It was like an article saying that why the Eagles had the fourth best NFL draft this year. Nikki says there's that word tandem again. Nick Leatherwood was the laugh of the first round. There is one every year. I agree. It was definitely a reach. I think he's gonna be an okay player.
Yeah, Nikki. Like I feel like the Raiders are always featured in that laugh, So I agree with you on that. He's a good player. But it was like once Roger Goodell read that pick, I was like, what? I was like, now?
Yeah. Jalen, Patrick answered that when we were talking about it last week. He absolutely loves the Cardinals draft. Patrick, go ahead.
What was your question? Oh, Cardinals. I thought they made out pretty well. I might be in the minority. I love Zaven Collins. I know a lot of people thought he was a reach, but I think pairing him with Isaiah Simmons, as like a first round hybrid guys up the middle, it's pretty clear that they're trying to move away from one-time Eagles legend Jordan Hicks now. So I think having him. I think TV's just shaking his head. I'm joking. I think having
I absolutely loved him when he played for the Eagles.
Yeah. I think pairing him, Zaven Collins, and Isaiah Simmons is going to be an amazing tandem as long as Vance Joseph can use them really well. I talked about Rondale Moore a little bit. I wanted Rondale Moore for the Eagles. I thought he'd be a great option too if they went cornerback the first round. Rondale Moore. He's going to come in. He's going to be Kyler Murray's favorite pick. I mean, he kind of takes over for Larry Fitzgerald because he's been one of those. Larry's been playing a slot receiver more so than anything recently. So being able to play Rondale Moore in a slot next to AJ Green and DeAndre Hopkins is going to be really, really solid pick. I think they did a really good job getting a value pick like Tay Owen in round 6, James Wiggins out of Cincinnati, and I think DB agrees with me. And Michael Manette, getting him in Penn State. We were talking about him as a possible Eagles pick later in the 7th round too, so I think he's going to be a good value pick.
I loved him because he was coming out of Penn State, and
exactly,
all along the line. So that's why I really wanted him.
Exactly. So yeah, I do really like what they did. I mean, there are some glaring weaknesses for the Cardinals too. They didn't take cornerback. I wish they did. So I think that's something that the Cardinals are going to go out in the free agency and look for. Guys like Steven Nelson, Brian Poole, those guys are still available. And I think we talked about it, the tight end position. I tell DB all the time, just outside of air too. Like, I wish the Cardinals can somehow go get Zach Ertz because I'm looking at the free agency. Tyler Eifert, Trey Burton. I mean, they don't give me as much hope as Zach Ertz would do. You know what I mean? So
they'll be able to get him. One way or the other. He's either going to be traded or he's going to be released. And the only reason why I don't think he's going to be released is because the Eagles still want something for him, justifiably so.
Right.
But they need to. Zach Ertz just needs to stop crying. It's that simple.
Yeah,
but,
I would love him on the Cardinals.
Yeah, one thing I definitely want to get to, guys, before we wrap up, is Howie Roseman. He more or less did endorse Jalen Hurts this week, guys. So I mean, that's good news. And I think Nikki mentioned this earlier today. Is it's just going to come down to Jalen Hurts. We already talked about the Patriots. Kane Grayson feel like they did a phenomenal job. They had probably one of the best drafts when it comes to value is concerned. And who fell where. Mac Jones, I love the pick for the Patriots. I think it's a perfect pairing for the Patriots, and also them getting Christian Barmore in the 2nd round. Absolutely phenomenal. So absolutely love what Bill is doing there in New England. Obviously, Bill is the mastermind of all things New England Patriots. Boom. Howie Roseman endorsed Jalen Hurts and basically just said, yeah, it's his year to take it and run with it. So like Nikki said, it kind of this year is going to come down to Jalen Hurts. Those picks that we have next year are going to come down to how well Jalen Hurts performs. So hopefully he takes it off. He takes it and he runs with it, and Jalen Hurts takes off. I think that is the best case scenario for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. And there really isn't any reason why he shouldn't, outside of this. and I mentioned this at the beginning of the stream, just to wrap it all back around. Brandon Brooks and Lane Johnson, can they stay healthy? I'm worried about Brandon Brooks' Achilles. I'm worried about Lane Johnson's ankle. Those fears of mine regarding those two do not go away. Nikki says, I think we scapegoat Roseman a bit. I'm actually a Roseman fan. Think about it. Right when we are rebuilding, we are going to have a ton of cap and 3 first-round picks. That's epic. How do I want to address this, Patrick? I don't want to get upset. I will say this. I'm not upset. I'm not upset with that opinion, Nikki. I think that's fine. Look, first and foremost, we're all we're Eagles fans first. And so if Howie Roseman does a good job, great. Howie Roseman is doing a good job. Here's the thing. Howie Roseman has not done a good job in the draft, and that is the title that he's given himself, is in charge of the 53-man personnel. And so that's the issue. Whiffing on draft picks over the last 3 years has become the issue with Howie Roseman. And Jordan Hicks is another thing. You know, I don't understand. That's kind of outside the box at this point. He's not coming back, but you probably could have coughed up a few bucks to give to Jordan Hicks, and then we probably wouldn't need to be talking about the linebacker position as much as we are. But I will say this. He has had a phenomenal offseason. And I will also say this, that if you think about it analytically, Howie Roseman was primed and destined to have a good offseason this season. You know, we did this back in 2016 when we traded up to get Carson Wentz. Howie Roseman had a phenomenal offseason. And 4 years later, you know, we're without a franchise quarterback as far as we know, and he has a phenomenal offseason, and sets the team up for good shit. Now, that being said, why? The why, right? And I think the why is when Howie Roseman realizes that it's okay for him to be aggressive, he actually does good things. You know what I mean? Like trading a 3rd round pick like trading a 1st and a 3rd to the Dallas Cowboys to move up 2 spots just to get the guy that you want. Or like trading back to 12 to get an extra 1st round pick and things of that nature. So I am on board with Howie's delivery so far this season, this off season. But I do expect more. He still needs to go out and he still needs to get us a cornerback opposite Darius Slay, because I'm sorry, but Zach McPherson is too small to play on the outside, especially against guys like DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, Kenny Galladay, Scary Terry. I mean, the Washington football team is going to be really, really tough to deal with. They got Diami Brown, they got Curtis Samuel, and they got Scary Terry now. So the Eagles, they're going to have to bring in somebody. I understand we're talking about waiting a year, but they're going to have to bring in somebody else in the secondary. And the other thing too is I get upset with Howie Roseman because you need to put a little bit more value in the linebacker position. You do. You just do. And honestly, I feel the same way about Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie right now. I think that there's way too much dysfunction surrounding this team, and they just need to fix it. And that's why, and to me, and this is why I love Jalen Hurts, right? This is why I love Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts he just seems like he's operating above the fray. He's like, I don't give a shit about all that. I'm just gonna operate and do my shit. And so he's already looking like the leader of the team. And he's got the wheels and the wherewithal and the grace and the magnetism to just be bigger than the fucking office politics. You know what I mean? And that's what it seems like to me. That's what it seems like to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's handled himself really well. Just coming in and just being able to go through that tough situation with Carson Wentz and everything. I think he was able to handle that really well, and I think all indications are that he's still that same leader coming out, of college, and then just I think he's transitioned really well as a presumed starter for the Eagles. I think he's positioned really well, for himself to take over as that focal point of the Eagles offense and the Eagles team. And then I think he knows that he's getting a full chance to take over 100%. In that scenario, that he's gonna be that guy, So I think Jalen Hurts is doing really well, and I think, to be completely honest with you, I think Howie Roseman did really do a good job in this offseason, just to make sure that he can surround Jalen Hurts with all the talent that he can possibly give him. And I think you can't fault him for it. I think this offseason was based around that, you know what I mean? So I think he definitely has a chance to become a special quarterback here. I think it'll depend on like how Nick Sirianni's system can be really placed, and how he can utilize all his players to do so. But I think Jalen Hurts has all the talent in the world to be that guy. And he definitely has a lot of weapons around him to be able to do so. So yeah, I'm excited to see what Jalen Hurts can do.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. The first thing that Devontae Smith said to Jalen Hurts was, "You got to stay off the weights, bro." Have you seen his legs? Have you seen Jalen Hurts' leg?
No, I have not.
As soon as he walked into as soon as it was he was just joking, but like, yeah, there is video of that. And then they went to the 76ers game later that night. But I was gonna say, I think Howie and Nick relate better. I think Howie relates better to these younger coaches, and I think these younger coaches relate to Howie better. That's the one side note that I noticed, is that they each are like getting along. They're getting along with Howie, and it's not. And so it might be a small thing, it might be a big thing, it might be whatever. But that's the impression. That's the impression that I'm getting. So I think that's good too. That Howie is relating to, if that is the case, that Nick and Howie are relating a lot better than Doug Peterson and Howie did. So, on top of that, I just want to say that, yeah, I mean, like Nikki said, it's going to come down to Jalen. It's going to come down to Jalen Hurts, and I really am pulling for the guy, and I really think that he's going to be able to pull it off. That's what I'm excited about. So, anyway, this is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles live with Patrick J. Guys, we will be back on tomorrow at about 3:30. So stay tuned, and you guys have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your Saturday. Stay safe and stay healthy. Well, love, go Birds, and hopefully we can get Dak is King back in here. All right.